All right. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
I'm excited to talk to you as well.
I think, and I don't know if you know this, but you are absolutely just a pillar of strength and just an amazing show of great leadership. And
Oh,
your faculty and staff absolutely love being able to just be in your presence.
I am speechless. That is very kind. They're also hardworking. I don't deserve them.
Yeah,
They're really great.
I don't think that there's anywhere that anyone else would rather be than this campus.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
And so kind of what I wanted to do with this conversation today is I think that we get a chance to know each other in the business realm,
Hmm.
which is important.
Hmm.
But kind of just a little bit about your background, your
Okay.
history as to, how you got into education.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to chat about how people can be better at what they're doing here. And I know that you have like a ton of experience, and
Yeah.
so I'm hoping to kind of just glean on your experience of what people in all different realms can be doing to just master their craft. So
Okay. Yeah, we can
let's
visit about that.
visit about that.
See what comes up.
So I'm going to bounce backwards and just say, okay, can you start by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Like my real self.
I mean, I don't know about your fake self, but you can tell me.
You're right. I hope I don't have a fake self. That was probably something silly for me to say.
So like education self, like
Okay.
how'd you get started in education?
Well, I'd like to believe it started the day I was born because I have always loved education. As a child on a playground, I played a teacher. I don't know if they still do that, but you go off into little groups, and I was always a teacher. And so education's always been important to me. It's always been something that I love for myself. Nobody can, and it's true. Once you learn something, once you get educated, nobody can take that away from you. And it gives you so much power. I don't think people realize just knowing things about things. Whether there's something you pursue or not, but just knowing, just educating yourself can give you so much power and so much confidence. So with that, when I went to college, of course, I got a teaching degree. But then I decided to get my master's degree in college administration and teaching, because although I love the idea of teaching, I'm probably better at being an administrator. Teachers have superpowers that I don't have sometimes. But that's where I got my start. And then so I immediately started working in higher education, started out in financial aid at a large university, and then got recruited to work at post-secondary institutions. And I've done that in Oklahoma and Colorado now for probably close to 35 years. So I'm giving away my age a little bit, but I've been doing this my whole life and I don't regret a minute of it.
Nobody can do math. It's fine. You're
yes, that's
Joe
true.
has been birthed, so 35 years old.
That's a long time. We'll just go with that.
I am curious. I know that you've been in this realm for a few years. I don't know that I personally knew about trade schools when I was growing up. I didn't hear much about it, and I didn't understand much about it until I got to IntelliTec. So I know that you went to college and then wanted to further yourself by earning your master's. But how did you fall upon trade schools?
So that actually, from my financial aid career, because I was working at a university in financial aid and I was recruited to work at financial aid at a trade school. I also did not know anything about it. And that was unfortunate because I still think people don't know about trade schools and the value of these types of schools. They're people that want to just get out there and start working, using their hands, using their brains, doing what they do without some of all and it's not fluff in some circumstances, but it's not necessary for them to be successful in their career. And I didn't realize that educational setup, as much education as I had in education, that wasn't really talked about. And I think there needs to be more conversation around that. So I got recruited to work in a financial aid office, and then I moved myself up from that position to a directorship at a school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Then I got recruited to an Oklahoma City school, then Denver, and then here we are. So once I got into the trade schools, I stayed. I saw the value. I saw an underserved community. Because some of these students are not typical learners, and I understand why. Everybody has a different learning style. Everybody has different things that motivate them. I think the world of education could learn to be more flexible in meeting these students' needs. And I learned it. I had to learn it outside of my formal education.
I'm trying to figure out, or what is your, if you had to advise somebody and how we can start moving forward to tell people about trade schools, like where are we falling short, or maybe are we doing better?
So I have to admit, I don't know what happens in primary education now. I'm not as familiar with curriculum development and different things they do there. But that's where it starts, is exposing people to different opportunities. Back in my day, we had a shop class, and there were the kids that were great in shop class. I wasn't one of them. I was better in a more formal setting. And that's just because we're all different. I think exposing kids and encouraging them on things that are non-traditional, I think would be a start. Maybe clubs, maybe just ways they can express themselves and get their hands into something so they can start feeling confidence and start exploring what their motivations and desires are. And it starts at a young age, I think. I think starting junior high even. I think a lot of times we push kids to more academic, and that's important. You know, you need to know your reading, writing, arithmetic. But I think there's opportunities for more growth.
I love that you said shop class, because it reminded me of shop class when I was younger. And I was so proud of myself. I made a coaster. We had to like cut out like 4 little squares of wood.
Yeah. And you gave them away as a Christmas present,
That's
probably.
Right.
Yeah. and trust me, whoever got it is cherishing it to this day.
I'm sure.
I did the same. I wasn't as good as my classmates. And so I didn't develop some of the confidences in that discipline, because that's not where my talents lay. You know, but there are plenty of people. Our students are great examples of that. I have my hair done by our cosmetology students. They amaze me every day. They're professionals. Our auto students, all of them. They're just amazing.
And you also mentioned that they're a little bit of an underserved community. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think societal norms right now look at higher education as purely academic. And so there are students that don't excel at purely academic curriculum. And so sometimes they're not aware of the other opportunities out there for them. And it's not advertised as much. It's not saying, hey, are you interested in medical? Do you like blood and guts, but maybe don't want to be a doctor? There's other avenues for that. And I'm not sure those types of things are discussed, and not necessarily those types of programs at a formal 4-year university. And so I think it's getting better. I think people are recognizing now that we need electricians, we need HVAC technicians, we need these people. And those aren't typically formally taught in a university setting. They're done in a trade school. But let's say you're a kid, you have to know that this education exists out there. So it has to be talked up a bit. And I think there's organizations and agencies now that are trying to do that. Mike Rowe Foundation is doing a lot of work towards recognizing the trades and the benefit, and that our skilled craftsmen and tradespeople are aging out now. And there's a whole new generation we need, and they're in high demand just because students didn't know that this is what they could do. And so we're looking to maybe match students' passions with careers. Yeah.
I want to kind of switch gears here and talk a little bit more about just your position. I wonder if people know what it is you do.
Well, most would be incredibly bored. So it's funny if I'm out in public and someone says, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I work at a school." "Oh, you teach?" And I'm like, "No, I can't be a teacher. Don't give me that honor. I'm not that good." But it is very hard to describe because it truly is administrative. So a typical day for me is I go over reports. I look at the status of where we are in our different departments. We have an admissions, financial aid, education, a registrar, and then general business, and the operational stuff, keeping the buildings running, making sure the electricity's paid and the classrooms are set up, and that we have the tools and supplies we need. So it's a lot of going over reports. I also respond to accrediting reports and accrediting inquisitions. And so that there's a lot of report writing that goes on. So if you go by my office, 9 times out of 10, I'm on my computer or I'm looking at a report. But before anybody feels sorry for me, I love it. And this is what I love to do. And it really gives you the pulse of what's going on, and just making sure our students' needs are being met, my faculty and staff needs are being met, and that we have a good place to go that we want to go. It's really important that I used to tell students in orientation that you spend so much time at work, don't let it be the worst place you're at. You know, if you're going to devote part of your life to this, and I know a lot of it is to raise your family and provide for your family, but you have to take care of yourself too. And I think if you go to work and you're happy, then that's the best way it can be, you know, for everything, for your family too. You know, wouldn't it be better for you to go home in a good mood, proud of what you've done, happy with your day's work? You're going to have a better impact on your family as well.
I'm wondering if you're going to mind tooting your own horn here. So we'll see. We'll see if this question will get the response that I'm looking for. But I know that you do have your pulse everywhere. I mean,
I try.
You do. Is that how's that developed? Because I'm going to make the assumption that when you went to school, obviously you learn about these things in school, but you were also recruited to do this position. How you've been able to grow over the years, and what would you say some of your strengths are?
So growing is recognizing things about yourself and things that motivate you, and know that some of those things will motivate other people. If I want to get allowed to get off work early every now and then, and that's what motivates me, it's just common sense that that's what might motivate someone else. But it doesn't always. It's a matter of getting to know your employee. First, you got to know what your limitations are. What are you allowed to do? And then you get to know your employees and your students, and you try to meet those needs. I think leadership is a service position, and anybody in a leadership position that doesn't believe that, I really can't speak to that, because that's not my belief. My belief is the higher up you get, the more you're required to serve, or you have the honor to serve other people. And I think a lot of times some people just aren't cut out for it. You got to be flexible. You've got to be open-minded about other people's needs. Have I been duped? Have I been taken advantage of? Yes, but we all do. And you just have to get past that and learn from those experiences. Time has a lot to do with it, putting yourself out there and really listening to people, trying not to judge. When you get an answer, you know, it might be something that you think is, oh, well, I don't understand why they just don't deal with it. We're not in everyone else's shoes. So try to be as open-minded, but then you have to look globally and see, how is this going to affect any other person or any other department? You know, an example might be a student who wants an extra 3 weeks to finish something, but then you have to look, how does that affect the other students, and what were the circumstances, and are you even allowed to do that? I just think trying to look at the big picture and getting as much information as possible will always lead you to the right answer. And the most important thing is surround yourself with smart people like yourself. I do nothing alone. Every good thing that happens on this campus is a collaboration with a group of people at this campus. So that's where I probably made my best decisions. If I'm going to brag about anything, it's about who I hired and who I have on staff right now, are keeping things probably at one of the best levels they could be. So I think that's the key. I do think there's personality types, and some people are more comfortable not being leaders, and there's nothing wrong with that, or not being, in my title as a director, they're not comfortable with that, and they shouldn't do that. And it doesn't mean anything that you know, it's no lesser to have a different title. Do and be good at what you do. And so kind of some self-explorations needed for that kind of stuff.
I love that I was expecting you to toot your own horn and that you would turn it around and share that with everybody else. But that's just, you know, that's kind of the expectation that I have of you. You really do a great job of supporting the people that you have around you.
You know what? I think that's where I get my most joy. You know, they say giving is so much better than getting, and it really is. And so any sort of authority I have to give will only bring greater joy to my life. So it's selfish in a sense.
Fair, fair. Okay, education, technology. Okay.
Now you'll see the meltdown.
Um, how do you see education progressing forward?
Well, I'm a bit remiss in this because I need to be out there more and looking for opportunities that we could bring. But I think one of my weaknesses is technology. I am such in my head a people person, a writer of this. I don't rely on technology for advancement necessarily, and I should. I think I have a lot to learn. I think there is so much cool stuff out there. Look, that was really good English today. There's some really great stuff out there that we need to start embracing and utilizing, and figure out how we can use it to make the lives of our students better and our faculty and staff better. I think right now for me, it's still exploration, and I can't speak in an educated manner on what specifically we should be doing. I just know there's great opportunities waiting for us.
How about in terms of your campus? What are you looking forward to, or how would you like to grow your campus here? Or
Well, I'm always looking at new programs because this community is finite. You know, we are in a valley. There's only a certain number of people to serve. So I want to create more opportunities, things that might interest people. I know we have a couple new programs that I'm working on right now and we get our information from the community, from students who come through. Maybe I mentioned cosmetology. Many of them have said, we'd love to see barbering. Okay, now we'll do a needs analysis, a market survey to make sure there's jobs here for these students. And we'll probably look at barbering and electrical and takeoffs of our current programs and deficiencies in the community, things that people need in this community, because I want our students to be able to be employed. So whatever those needs are, that's where I'm going to seek educational opportunities.
Couple more questions here, and then I'll let you get out of here. But I've been interviewing students recently, and so their round of conversations that I'm having with them, we're calling tricks of the trade. They're just kind of telling me their advice on what it takes to be a good student. And so since you are kind of at the top looking down, I mean, what advice would you give our students to help them along in their journey of their education here?
This is going to sound weird, but be real with yourself. Don't make excuses, accept responsibility, know that getting anywhere takes some work. And nothing is going to be handed to you. And we all had our childhood, and we all had that opportunity. And now it's time to step up. And attendance is not easy. Coming to school every day is not easy. It's not easy for all of us to come to work every day. But make that commitment to yourself. Whether you're a student or whether you're a faculty, make that commitment to be better at what you do, and to know that you've got to put in the time and effort, and it'll pay off in the end. You got to have faith. You got to have faith. You got to have hard work, accept responsibility. There's so much freedom in knowing that, oh, my part in this that I could have done better is this, instead of saying, I had no control over that. That wasn't my fault. That is giving away so much power and control. Mm-hmm. If you accept responsibility, then that means you can do something about it, and you can fix it, and you can make it better. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean any of that type of stuff. It's just a recognition. And the more you're aware and the more you drive your own life, the better it will be.
Mm. That's such good advice.
Yeah.
People, I think, give away their power often. Like, oh, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Oh, they did this to me.
Yeah.
But if you want to be successful at something,
and I know there are bad things that happen to people, and that's not to say you don't get an opportunity to process that, but you should break out of that and make it an advantage if you can.
Similar question, but to your faculty and staff.
Okay. It is the same thing as well. And you know what? They really are good at accepting responsibility. They're problem solvers. They're advocates for their students. I mean, I love having an engaging conversation with a faculty member about them trying to help solve a student's problem. And every day I get amazed at how much they care about their students and what they do. For my faculty and staff, I really preach work-life balance. I really think it's important that you come in, and when you're at work, you're present at work, your head's at work, you're doing your work, you're taking care of your students. But when you go home, you're with your family and you don't have to worry about work. So give it your all here, give it your all at home. And just try to make your life as well-rounded as possible. There are people that work too much, and there are people that don't work enough. And it's always a push-pull struggle. And you're never always just even. But whatever, if you're working on happiness and positivity, that's going to radiate, and the world's going to be a better place.
I love that. Cool. The world's going to be a better place.
That's my goal, is to make this world a better place. It really kind of is, and it should be all of our goals. You know, our happiness is dependent on sometimes on other people being happy as well. I mean, if you're super happy and something great happened to you, and you walk in a room where something bad happens, I mean, you got to help try to alleviate that situation. You can't always make things better. You can't always solve a problem, but you can usually make things better. So.
Cool. Well, I don't have any other questions.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for visiting with me. And of course, it's always very comfortable talking to you. You make this process very easy, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's great learning from you. And so hopefully I'll come back and bother you again and get some more answers to some more questions later.
You got it. Whatever you need, Ms. Patrice.